امريكا فيها عدد مسلمين قد دول الخليج كلها.
In this country we have a problem where the Americans define who we are as Arabs, and for once we want to define our story, tell our history, tell our story about who we are as a people. And we hold every year, for example, the Arab American Festival, which is we take over a long block, we put up all the Arab flags, we have about 40 vendors, we have cultural shows all night. We define who we are as a people for the general public to see, rather than have them tell us who we are, rather and perpetuate that in the media.
بعد أحداث مثلا 11 سبتمبر وقبلها، أنت كمهاجر من بلاد عربية وبلاد مسلمين وكده بقيت بين شقي الراحة. تخيل انت حتى لو انت مش مسلم ان انت اسمك جهاد وانت مسيحي لبناني مثلا.
Well, 9/11, I think, did two things. One, it created a situation where half the community hid, right? They were scared for their families. Many people were being arrested, deported. Many people were put away, in a sense. The other thing that it did is it created this new level of Arab American activism, where people said, no more. We're no longer going to hide. We're going to take our future not for granted, but rather advance our community forward in a proactive way, which is what you need to do here in America. Nobody gives you anything for free here in America. You got to go out and take it.
And the Arab community has been here over 150 years, and the Muslim community in the United States is older than the United States itself, because you had people who came here when the United States was still a colony of Britain, and they were Muslim slaves from Africa.
في القرن التاسع عشر كان في بلدتين في أمريكا اسمهم محمد.
As the Arab community here, like I always feel that we are always left behind. We're always two steps behind other communities.
Sure.
Why do we don't have a strong lobby like other lobbies from other ethnicities?
But we've been only working at this for like 20, 30 years, first of all. Other communities...
That's a long time.
That's a long time for me and you, Yani. That's why we get some gray hairs in our beards. But for the communities that have been here for 100 years, 150 years, they've had a head start. They've been working for a long time to advance their causes. Every immigrant community, when they come here, what they do is they fight for their rights. And then when the next community comes, they put the other one back. So we're at the long end of that line. We've been fighting for 20, 30 years, and only now have been starting to make an impact.
البلد دي عاملة زي ايه؟ عاملة زي واحد عضلات كبير قوي.
تمام.
وكل شوية ياخد حقنة ايه؟ مقويات.
تمام.
حقنة المقويات دي هي المهاجرين اللي بيخشوا أمريكا.
There are attempts to try to have more internship programs in Washington. There are attempts to sort of integrate more fully into the system. And yet, every attempt that's made to try to integrate into the system is seen by the right wing as somehow a Muslim takeover of the United States these days.
If you compare us to the Jewish community, for example, they have the collective trauma of the Holocaust. That's one thing that binds all Jewish Americans together, regardless of where they come from, Poland, Europe, Western Europe, the Arab world, wherever. Arab, we all have our own individual experiences.
But we have the language, we have religion.
Yeah.
I have two religions, basically, Muslim and Islam and Christianity.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
We have actually more stuff to actually bind us together.
Yeah, we have a lot of things that bind us together, but we also have a lot of baggage that keeps us apart. In New York City, for example, Egyptians are stereotyped and known to basically drive a lot of the taxis, for example.
على فكرة سواقة التاكسي حرية واختيار، ما هياش مجرد إجبار.
Now every single one of them is either a doctor, an architect, or an engineer.
بس أنت كنت محامي جيت هنا واشتغلت.
أنا لازلت محامي. Now we know that they have these degrees and they study and they came over here, and it's a challenge connecting what their education is to the realities of economic opportunity here.
هي مش سهلة. هي العملية صعبة جدا إن أنت تيجي من بلدك بالطريقة اللي أنت اتربيت بيها، بالمعاملة اللي أنت اتعاملت بيها، وبعدين مرة واحدة تبص تلاقي نفسك في نظام تاني مختلف تماما عن النظام اللي أنت نشأت عليه.
أنت فكرنا هناك ده لازم تروح مدرسة، ولازم تاخد كلاسز، ولازم تعرف ازاي تقرا الخريطة علشان تقدر تشتغل وتطلع الرخصة دي.
فعشان ان انت تقدر تتعامل مع المجتمع الجديد اللي انت داخل فيه لازم تفهمه.
كل اللي بيشيلوا بضاعة من المخزن يحطوه على الرفوف بتاع محلات البقالة ومحلات الجروسري. ما هي دي عمالة. كل عامل الورد اللي واقف قدام محل بقاله وبينسق الورد كل يوم، ما دي عمالة رخيصة لأنها جاية غير إيه؟ شرعية.
I think one of the interesting things that's also happened after 9/11 is that the American Muslim community and the American Arab community have matured. They've grown in their approach to how to talk to American people, and they've also taken on issues that are more about what life is like here. Before 9/11, their issues were primarily focused on what happens over in the Arab world.
معظم للأسف الجالية بتاعتنا اتعرضت للتجسس عليها عن طريق البوليس.
السنة الماضية ب 2011 كان كتير فضيحة في مركز الأسوسييتد بريس، عملوا بحث عن الشرطة بنيويورك بوليس ديبارتمنت، هم عاملين تركيز ومدخلين جواسيس على المساجد، على المطاعم العربية مثلا، على الجاليات اللي فيهن كتير عرب، مثلا على الجمعيات العربية الإسلامية، ومن دون أي سبب، بس عشان إحنا عرب وعشان إحنا مسلمين. يعني ما في من كل الأوراق اللي طلعوا من البحث ما في شيء بيبين إن مثلا إن علاقات مع أي جمعية إرهابية مثلا أو أي شيء زي هيك. هذا كتير فضيحة للنيويورك بوليس ديبارتمنت.
ايه اللي حصل في المطاعمين في
كانوا بيتجسسوا عليهم وعارفين بالظبط مين الاونر بتاع صاحب المطعم، وعارفين الناس اللي بتروح جوه بيناقشوا ايه بالظبط.
To prove your point, there was the issue of the Ground Zero mosque. Who stood with us and who stood against us in this?
That was very interesting, actually, to watch that, because you had the people who were against us were the typical people that we've seen before. We have a lot of right-wing activists from around the country mobilizing, but the people who are in favor of the mosque were not only the Muslim community, was not only the Arab community, was not only the larger religious communities, but also included Mayor Bloomberg. He came out very, very strongly. He and the governor of New Jersey, also Chris Christie, both came out in support of the mosque because they saw it as essentially a freedom of religion issue.
فاكرين لما كنا اتكلمنا على كاميرات المراقبه جوه المساجد زي كاميرات امن الدوله كده، احنا لقينا واحد بقى مركب كاميرا في دماغه عراقي، قلنا نروح نشوفه. المواعيد كلها عماله تفكس، اساسا كل ما نجيب ميعاد مع حد الموضوع يبوظ. كان في الراجل العراقي دهوت اللي كان مركب كاميرا، وبعدين طلع ان هو جراحيا جسمه رفض الكاميرا ديت، فادي ميعاد باظ اهوت. فكان لازم نعمل حاجه، عشان نملى وقت البرنامج. فنزلنا الشارع نتفاعل مع الناس في الشارع. لازم كنا نوري الناس جزء من تجربتنا المصريه. اوحش حاجه في الناس انها بتستنى الاشاره الحمراء عشان يقدروا يعدوا. Okay, now, you're American.
I am.
All right, are you used to cross the streets waiting for your sign, for your walk sign? No?
You never do.
Why are you waiting in the stop sign?
Because I come from Germany.
Crossing the street without waiting for the walk sign.
I do that all the time.
I don't want to fall down the street.
Why don't you try with me once to cross without waiting for the walk sign? Let's do it.
No.
That's good. Yeah. Yes? Yeah, I see. Would you like to join the Egyptian experience, actually crossing without waiting? Yeah, let's do that. All right, come on. All right, go. That's good. Let's go. That's great. Did it? All right, man. Good luck. It's not as exciting as you cross it now, right?
No.
All right, now we're just gonna walk. It's so easy.
It's so easy.
احنا رايحين هناك نفسد اخلاقهم في تعرية الشوارع اساسا.
وانا بتكلم مع الناس في تايم سكوير كنت بسمع في دماغي كل الاعذار اللي اتقالت لي في الكام يوم اللي فاتوا.
Somebody can come here, make an amazing life for themselves and advance themselves, but we have yet as a community to connect the individual prosperity to community advancement.
لكن في الاخر سمعت حاجة غريبة.
They say actually the first words ever spoken by Christopher Columbus's people was "Salam alaikum." Why?
احنا هنا من زمان قوي كده ولا بقالنا اقل من كده بكتير؟ هل مسجد جراوند زيرو زي ما احنا متخيلنا فعلا ولا له قصة تانية؟
Finally tonight, as promised, a special comment on the inaccurately described Ground Zero Mosque.
You probably have heard a lot over the last couple of weeks from people who don't want the mosque so close to Ground Zero.
There are, I believe, 2 other mosques in that same area that have been established for decades.
9/11 attacks were a deeply traumatic event for our country. As a citizen and as president, I believe that Muslims have the right to practice their religion as everyone else. That includes the right to build a place of worship in a community center on private property in Lower Manhattan in accordance with local laws and ordinances.
في جراوند زيرو ماسك.
الجراوند زيرو ماسك هو 2 بلوكس من هنا. تمشي شارعين لفوق وبعدين شارعين لليمين.
يعني هو اساسا مش جراوند زيرو؟
لا ابدا.
طب ممكن اسال سؤال محرج، هو ماسك؟
لا هو مصلى تحت الارض ومركز اسلامي فوق الارض.
It's not even a mosque.
Where is it and what is it?
It's about 2 blocks away. The plan is for it to be essentially a cultural center.
بصراحة آخر 10 سنين أكبر حرب يعني بالنسبة لي بعد 10 سنين، يعني هذا الحكي مش أيام بعد سبتمبر. إحنا الموضوع 9/11 ماسك هذا بعد 10 سنين. لسه الناس لو شفت كم واحد أجى على نيويورك عشان يعمل مظاهرة ضد هذا المسجد.
So the idea would be that it would have programming that would be very much interested in Islamic issues in the Islamic world, but it would not be a mosque. There would be a musalla inside. There would be a prayer space inside, but it's not a mosque per se.
فعلا؟ احنا دلوقتي رايحين ناحيه المركز الاسلامي صح؟
نعم.
طيب انا عايز اسال سؤال بقى. موضوع الشكوى المستمره اللي احنا فيها كمسلمين وكعرب، وزي ما بقول لك كده يعني اسمح لي في الكلمه، الخيبه اللي احنا فيها دي ترجع ليه في الاخر؟
ترجع في المقام الاول للمنظار اللي كنا بنتكلم عنه هناك. اولا النظره للدنيا ودورنا في هذا العالم لايه؟ احنا ربنا خلقنا نعمل ايه في الدنيا دي، ومسؤوليتنا تجاه المجتمع هي ايه؟ بغض النظر ربنا حطنا فين.
أنا عايز أعمل حاجة للسياسة، مزيكا، بس مش أي مزيكا.
يا عم انت عمال تقول لي المصريين هم اللي سايقين كل التكاسي هنا اهوت، انا مش شايف ولا واحد راضي يقف لنا لسه من الاول.
المشكله فيك انت يا عم، انت اللي مش عارف تختار التاكسي اللي يعبر عن شخصيتك. كل انسان ليه التاكسي اللي يناسبه. انت مثلا تاكسي ده جنتلمان كلاب هيظبطك والله، ده هيظبطك. بص وقف، عارف انت
واضح ان هو فهمنا صح.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
تايم سكوير بليز.
هو انتوا خربتوها هناك وجايين تخربوها هنا كمان؟
اهلا